Alright guys, Papa Pepper here. Finally back on the homestead once again after some crazy travels for work. Definitely enjoy the adventure of the road, but this is where I like to be, and this is the type of stuff I like to be doing. So if you see, I've got a nice little row of green here going. There's a cattle panel next to me. It's got the same thing growing there. And what I actually did is, I think it was around the end of December, beginning of January, I planted this with peas. And each year, there's kind of an average frost date, last frost date, but that fluctuates. Each year the weather can be different. So what I wanted to do was to get these guys in the soil and use them as an indicator of when the time would be right. They definitely took a lot longer to germinate than if I just planted them under ideal conditions, and they germinated and came up right away. So what I believe happened is they were remaining dormant in the soil. And then when the conditions became right for them to grow, they began to sprout up. As soon as I seen that they had sprouted up, that's when I planted a lot of other peas in my garden and some other plants too. I figured if anyone's gonna know the right time this year for peas to be sprouting and doing a good job in the garden, I figured it'd be the peas. So what I did is I gave them that opportunity. Tried about 5 or 6 different types of peas last year. The ones that impressed me most were the Wandos. I planted those way late, and they still did very well for me. So I do have an amount of seeds for those that I'm still going to put in. But we've tried some Oregon Giants. The deer seem to really like those. We tried some Alaska. We tried some different ones. These are just some snow peas. I forget the exact type because I don't always label everything. But to see them starting off so green, popping from the soil, and this is stuff that we just added another layer of like wood mulch compost to the top of it. So this is getting deeper and deeper. I love the richness of the soil. And what I'm thinking too is across a lot of my garden right now, I'm gonna do some really early spring planting for all the stuff that's gonna phase out by the time the warm weather hits. And what I think I'm gonna do is just kind of always have something growing in my garden. But like for instance, these peas can sprout up, do their thing, and then I can run up some noodle beans or something here later in the year, or maybe some snake gourds or something else. But that way I can get multiple harvests out of each bed. And I'm actually working on a project over there too to use some of my perennial beds for the same type thing. So if you take a look behind me, there's a muscadine grape growing across this thing, and at the ground level there's strawberries. This is where I have a permanent raised bed full of perennial plants. So the strawberries are going to be a ground cover. They're going to block the weeds out, and they're going to give me a harvest at the ground level. And then this muscadine grape is going to give me a harvest higher up. Also, when the muscadine grape grows longer than I need it, what I do is I tuck it back into the soil, let it run under the soil, and come back up later. This guy's actually tucked in multiple times. And what'll happen is it'll start rooting down there. And then if I want to barter, sell, trade, whatever with other people, I'll have extra plants, or if I just want to propagate my own, I'll have extra plants from what normally would have just been pruned off. And then I don't have to just prune it off and then try to root it. I can prune it when it's already rooted, which is one reason why I definitely love layering plants like this. So just last night I came out in here, I can still see a couple of the little holes, and I actually planted peas across this whole thing. It's going to be a while before this thing really starts putting out foliage, before it really leaves up, and it's going to be a while before these strawberries start kind of filling in, going to flower, going to fruit, sending out their runners. got time to get a whole harvest of peas off of this area before any of this stuff hits. So it's a good way, I think, of just being a steward of the property, of being able to use everything to its fullest potential. I've got 2 more of the same thing right behind me. There's 1 bed, 2 bed, 3 beds of muscadine grapes at the top with strawberries underneath, and they're all planted with peas right now. And this one here is one of my favorite garden beds. This is where I grew the best plant that I did not plant last year because it reseeded itself. By the end of the year, this was covered in so many Malabar spinach vines, we couldn't keep up with harvesting it. Going to be a while before they pop from the soil, so I've got the whole thing planted with peas right now on both sides of this. We'll let the peas run up and have their turn, and then by the time they're fizzling out, that Malabar spinach can just take over this thing, and I'll get 2 harvests of the peas and then the Malabar spinach from only planting 1 plant, the peas, because I'm pretty confident that that Malabar spinach is going to reseed itself again. And right now, every order at our Homesteaders Co-op store still gets a free packet of Malabar spinach seeds. So you guys can think about that. I'll have a link in the description, but it's a good way for us just to bless other people with the excess from our own garden. So guys, hopefully that gives you a little bit of good stuff to think about as far as winter gardening, when to plant, things like that. It was just an experiment that I wanted to do, and it seemed to work out okay. I shot a closer for this already, but apparently it didn't save. So I'm just kind of doing it now, even though it's later at night. So getting this edited up and ready for you guys tomorrow. But I was so happy to see the peas coming. I'm so happy to be getting a better start on it this year, to have that many beds prepared and ready to go. We have 40 some. I've pretty much got the hugel mound between our drive-through for the garden and our garden pond completely planted right now. There's a little spot I still got to go, but we've got a number of things that should be coming up in there. And running out of daylight a couple times recently, so I spent some time with Red Pepper the other night planting, and then with Monster Truck just the other night planting too. So pretty excited, looking forward to this next year of food and tastiness and nourishment and nutrition and just health. So really excited about that. Get your grow on. Baba out.